Alexander was born to King Philip II of Macedon and Queen Olympus in Pella, the ancient capital of Macedonia. From a young age, he was groomed for leadership and receiving education from the philosopher Aristotle, which is pretty awesome. Aristotle was Alexander's tutor from the age of 13. He taught him ethics, politics. I don't know how to say that word, eristics, and
Heuristics,
instilled,
yeah.
and instilled in him a love for knowledge. This period helped Alexander develop the theoretical foundation for his later conquests, which started pretty quick. His career began at the age of 18. So, what was that, 5 years of education? And then he was already leading troops and helping his father, in battle. He did all this up until his father was assassinated in 336 BC, and so he took the throne at the age of 20.
Which is pretty young to be taking power of sword.
It's
I am
yeah,
king.
it's kind of crazy though. I feel like that's probably normal age for people back then though. Like
Yeah.
you got started a lot quicker.
Well, like, and the other thing is like he became king at 20, and then he only lived to 32, so he had 12 years. Like most of us, when we look at 20, we're like, no, I'm not going to be dead in 12 years. So I guess it had its benefits, but no, he had a lot of, but a lot of talk is of his conquests and his expansions. The beginning of his campaign against Persia, Alexander the Great, his conquest began in 334 BC when he crossed the Hellespont with an army of approximately 37,000 men, both Macedonians and Greeks. His aim was to challenge the massive Persian Empire ruled by King Darius III. The campaign started with the Battle of the Granicus River, where Alexander achieved a significant victory against the Persian satraps, governors, showcasing his tactical genius and boldness by leading a charge across the river and directly attacking the Persian nobles. Some of the key battles and strategies was at the Battle of Issus in 333 BC. After initial successes in Asia Minor, Alexander faced Darius III at Issus. Despite being outnumbered, Alexander's tactical use of the terrain and the phalanx formation led to a decisive victory. Darius fled, leaving his family in Alexander's hands, whom Alexander treated with respect, gaining him admiration and reputation for chivalry and mercy. Then you have the siege. What's that?
That's really cool. I just think it's a cool little bit of his story is all.
Yeah, they weren't just barbaric and did what a
Slaughtered
lot of
on
other
sight,
armies did.
right?
Yeah. Then you have the siege of Tyre or Tyre,
I want to say
332
Tyr.
BC. Tyr? Is it Tyr? Okay, maybe it's Tyr. Maybe I'm mixing up that word with a word from the Bible. Perhaps one of his most remarkable military achievements was at the siege of Tyre, a powerful and well-fortified city located on an island. Unable to convince the Tyrians to surrender, Alexander ordered the construction of a causeway from the mainland to the island, turning it into a peninsula. After 7 months, the city fell to Alexander, demonstrating his persistence and innovative siege tactics. Imagine spending 7 months creating a causeway just so you can defeat them.
That's crazy. Oh, and you are right. It is Tyre, by the way.
It is Tyre. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All righty. Yeah. Know your place. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Right.
But then you have the conquest of Eden. Now I'm going to mispronounce the
helpful.
word, and you're like, you
Gosh damn it,
dummy.
man.
The conquest of Egypt and foundation of Alexandria, 331 BC. His approach to Egypt was different. Welcomed as a liberator from Persian rule, he was crowned as the pharaoh of Egypt in Memphis. He founded Alexandria, which is there today, which would become the prosperous capital of the Hellenistic world and a center for Greek culture and trade. Then the Battle of, now this word I'm going to screw up, Gaugamela. Maybe I said it right. That's how I'd pronounce it. 331 BC. This battle is often considered Alexandria's tactical masterpiece. Facing a significantly larger Persian army, he employed a brilliant tactic of drawing Persian cavalry away, creating gaps in the Persian line, which he exploited using his companion cavalry. The victory at Gaugamela marked the end of the Persian Empire and allowed Alexander to capture Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, the cultural and economic centers of Persia. And so, yeah, just battle after battle, just win. Pretty incredible. But then you have the march to India, the Battle of Hydaspes in 326 BC. Alexander's ambition didn't stop just at Persia. He was like, no, we got to win some more. He pushed further east into India, where he engaged King Porus at the Battle of the Hydaspes River. Despite the challenge posed by war elephants and the monsoon conditions, Alexander's adaptation to new warfare tactics led to his victory. However, this battle marked the limit of his soldiers' willingness to continue. Facing homesickness and exhaustion, his army mutinied, forcing Alexander to turn back. And so his administrative, what was that?
That's interesting. They're like, dude, stop winning. We're done.
Yeah. It's like, how much do we need to take the whole world, or are we good here? Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, it took 7 months to construct that one thing. I can't imagine what the rest of this took. Like, how many years?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And then just the exhaustion of traveling every which direction. And so,
yeah, you think a 3-day vacation is exhausting. Imagine that.
Yeah. Imagine this. Yeah. But throughout his conquest, Alexander, he demonstrated not just military prowess, but also a keen sense of governance. He often installed local rulers and practiced inclusivity by incorporating thousands of locals into his army, promoting a blend of cultures. His policy of founding new cities and settling his veterans there facilitated the spread of Greek culture and language across his empire, which obviously he named the one city after himself, Alexandria. And then I think he actually named one of his cities after a pet horse that he had. I can't think of the name of the city, but I think he named like 70 cities, if I'm not mistaken, which is an crazy amount of cities to be naming. But nevertheless, anyways, the end of his campaign, by the time of his death in 323 BC, Alexander had created an empire that spanned from Greece to northwest India. The sheer scale of his conquest was unparalleled in the ancient world. Yet without a clear succession plan, his empire was divided among his generals, leading to the Hellenistic kingdoms that continued his legacy of culturally blending and military excellence.
So, talking about founding cities, I guess if we were to talk about the cultural impact, I guess he founded over 20 cities that bore just his name. And obviously the most famous being Alexandria in Egypt. These cities became centers of learning and culture, which we kind of talked about already. But anyways, that's pretty awesome. 20 cities after yourself. Talk about what's the word? whenever you like take over someplace and then or you're in battle and you spread, it's like either it's lies or it's truth. Like the posters that go up, burning books, all that, like World War II stuff.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know what that's called.
Man, I'll have to think of it later. But it's like, well, that your country just got taken over, whatever, your land, and now you've got this beacon of Alexander. That's got to be morally, crippling, I guess, or for people that would want to fight
Humbling.
back or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. What's
Know your
pretty
place,
cool
right?
is what's pretty cool is it was 15 years of conquest and he never lost a battle.
Really, the whole
Yeah.
way through.
Whole way through, never lost a battle.
Now, is this how he wrote it, or is this fact? Like,
No, I'm
yeah,
pretty sure
man,
this is
never
fact. I don't think
lost a
there's a
battle.
single. I mean, I guess maybe they could have been like, let's just not tell anybody about this one. Or maybe Alexander came back, but there was nobody else. And he was like, no, we won.
Mhm.
No, 15.
Well, I mean, who's gonna say we lost, right?
Yeah, that's fair. If everybody's dead. No, 15 years, and not only that, winning battles that were outnumbered, and battles where he created new siege tactics. And not only that, I don't know all his wounds that he had, but apparently he survived several deadly wounds that could have finished him, but he just scraped by.
Wow.
So pretty neat.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about his leadership and bravery. We already talked about him being trained by Aristotle, which was awesome. His education under Aristotle included medicine, philosophy of morals, religion, logic, and art, which, yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how much logic and then strategy played into these fights. Alexander's leadership was not just about battlefield conquest. He also showed remarkable diplomatic skills. For example, in Egypt, he was declared a pharaoh. In many places, he respected the local customs and religions instead of imposing Macedonian ways. This approach not only eased the integration of conquered territories, but also helped in administering a vast empire where diverse cultures coexisted. That's a really smart way to do that. Instead of just rewriting their history, you integrate it under your leadership. Alexander demonstrated great adaptability, adjusting his strategies according to the situation. His campaigns across diverse geographical terrains, from the deserts of Egypt to the snow-covered mountains of Afghanistan, shown his ability to adapt to military tactics. His vision of merging Greek and local cultures fostered a more cohesive administration and helped in the stability of his empire. So
There's two pretty cool things there. I think there's a quote by Aristotle. It goes something like this, but I think it said something like, be careful of a people that don't believe in a god or of a god. And so it's kind of neat that, I don't know, I think it's kind of neat that he didn't press onto a people, but instead he meshed. And so I don't know. I find that very, very interesting. And also it's you see so many places where like they come in and they say, no, this is the religion. And most of the time, like it immediately backfires and the people just like rebel against it. But if you let the people have, because so many times it seems like whenever somebody goes into some place and they take over and they try to make them adhere to all of their customs, like it's just horrible. But if you let the people have a little bit of freedom, like you mesh so much better. And so I don't know, just I think that's very smart the way he did that.
right. Yeah, especially if you take away religion, then you pretty much take away their hope of life after death, or at least confuse it and
Mhm.
then destroy that. Which, I mean, yeah, that would be pretty crushing, to be honest.
Yeah,
And obviously, if they don't have anything to hold on to, I mean, I can't imagine what that backlash would have been.
absolutely.
So his character was a complex mix of ruthlessness and mercy. So while he would be harsh, as seen in the destruction of Thebes, I believe,
I'm gonna go with Thebes.
yeah, and the execution of potential usurpers, he also showed great leniency and generosity to those who surrendered peacefully. So his treatment of the family of Darius III, which we talked about, whom he treated with honor and respect, is a testament to that. As he conquered more territories, Alexander began to adopt the style of Eastern monarchs, which included Proskynet. Man, I can't even pronounce that.
Proskynesis.
Proskynesis. That sounds very right. I'm gonna go with that.
I'm just gonna say it is. I don't know, but
This behavior alienated many of the Macedonian soldiers and showed a developing egocentrism. Egocentrism. Oh my gosh, big words. That was fueled by his vast successes, his belief in the divine status, encouraged by oracles and some of his close aides, further exemplified his complex personality that melded profound capability with significant pride. Makes sense. If you take over half the world or most of the world, there's got to be a little bit of a god complex there.
oh, for
Um,
certain.
yeah, yeah.
Like I've never been in it, but well, I can say I've had an experience. Like whenever you're playing with um, a game and you've got all your guys and you just keep winning and winning and winning, and like there's always one player. A lot of times, it's like always the best player on your team, and like almost always he'll get praised, and it's that person then literally has to humble themselves so that they don't become too arrogant. And so if you have several years of just winning battle after battle after battle, and you're the one that came up with the idea of how to win the battle, yeah, that could definitely lead to a god complex. And definitely some arrogance there. So,
Yep.
but yeah, so he finally died in Alexander. He finally died in 323 BC in Babylon at the young age of 32. So remains shrouded in mystery. Some is attributed to fever, poisoning, or other causes. Not quite sure what the cause of death was. Um, his early death left a power vacuum that led to the division of his empire among his generals. Um, the Diadochi, eventually fragmenting into several Hellenistic kingdoms. But his legacy is still there.
Yeah. I think that's just
So,
crazy. All before 32.
yeah. And having 15 years of those life just winning and winning and winning and winning. And then,
I feel like it was almost like th- I feel like it was like someone else had a hand in that, right? Like it was spiritual in a way, because like this needs to happen, and I'm gonna use this guy to do this.
oh yeah, for certain. Oh, several people throughout. I mean, you even look at the story of David and how many battles he won and how many people he destroyed, and you know that there was a spiritual presence in his ruling and how many battles he won. And I mean, they even came up with songs about him. And so, what was the song they used to sing about David has killed his 10,000s, Saul has killed his thousands. And so it was like they were both great, but David was better. Which wasn't probably a great song for whoever created it, because then it caused division between David and Saul. But yeah, I bet you there were even I bet you they wrote songs back then about Alexander the Great. But I don't know. I've
Oh, I
never heard
wonder-
of these songs.
I do wonder though, like how much cultural impact happened, because like, what is it? It takes 15 years to change a society or have a society adapt, right? And he did all this in 14-ish years. Like, how much of his conquering was too quick in a way, you know, for like, it just happened so fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where people just didn't have enough time to adapt to it and even accept that he's the leader. Or maybe they accepted he's the leader, but we're just unsure what's happening next. But then again, people didn't live very long, so maybe it didn't matter. Maybe the 15-year rule doesn't matter at that time in history.
Well, it might apply in some areas. In some areas, it doesn't. Some cultures, it doesn't matter how much time you give them, they'll never change. You can look at the Middle East and figure that out. Yeah, it's always a tricky thing when meshing cultures together, because every single time you do, there's going to be some level of frustration and even hate towards one culture. It doesn't matter how you do it. There's always going to be some barrier that you have to get through, and to be able to connect with from one culture to the next culture. And you're always going to, regardless who it hits enough people. There's enough barriers with enough people that you're going to get some that hate, you're going to get some that love, you're going to get a big mesh melting pot. And so,
That's a good
very
point.
I mean, it's always going to be there. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't even think Alexander could do that. So yeah, and it would make sense 15, 20, maybe 25 years, because then you have, your youth growing up, they don't see a difference. Your youth, a lot of times they don't see a difference. It doesn't matter the way this person's dressed or anything like that. So it's like you just kind of go with it. That's what they grow up in. And so they help mesh the culture your next generation will. So